credit needs, how to build credit, fix credit, and as well as how to grow and advance in your small business. And for all the educators out there, we also have programs that are actually catered to be taught in a classroom setting. So when you have a moment of time, you can also look at that site. There's many things on there, and it's on our handsonbanking.org site. So I encourage everyone to look at that. There's a lot of neat classes and tools and videos on there around personal and business finance. And then moving right along here, also on our website, we have a small business needs. So like I mentioned before, part of my job is to help small business owners in my community with all of their banking and financial needs. And on our site, wellsfargo.com, we have an array of information as far as business banking credit, business financing, merchant services. We also offer different payroll solutions, etc. So there's just a lot of resources that you can go on there and read about. And of course, if there's any questions as far as how to obtain these resources, or do you want to have a more in-depth discussion about anything that you see on our site, I think my information should be a part of the meeting. You can always feel free to reach out to me. And there's other resources here on the screen that do go into depth about different things that we offer on our website as far as anything as far as COVID-19 resources, the Wells Fargo at Work, which is the financial health site that has different webinars. We have retirement planning services. Wells Fargo Works for Small Business is one of my other favorite sites. It actually has resources dedicated specifically to small businesses, whether you're starting out or you're trying to grow your business, expand, you need information around marketing, partner buyout, acquisitions. And it is mobile friendly as well. So all these sites are mobile friendly. So if you ever have downtime and you're on your smartphone, feel free to go to any of these resources and you can read a few articles. And like I mentioned before, any question that you may have, always feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, thank you very much for your time today. If there's any questions right now, I'll do my best to answer them. But thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you so much, John.
Yes.
Yeah, do we have any
John,
questions?
I have a question for you. Yes, can you hear me okay, Lorraine? I mean,
yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hey, John. Okay, John, I got a couple of questions for you. A lot of people had reached out to me that were in business. However, they only had a couple of employees. I listened to the president the other night, and he was saying that they're going to set it up, the PPP. Well, it will assist the mom and pop organizations. Because right now, the only way to qualify, from what I understand, is that you must have a certain amount of employees to get that money. But excuse me, contractors that do a lot of subcontracting, their employees are on the other end of the subcontractors. However, they might be doing $500 to $1 million in business. So is Wells Fargo going to be addressing those issues as we go into this next round? Because a lot of people got left out. I mean, it was just unbelievable, the calls that I got in regards to that.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. So if you go onto our wellsfargo.com site, as far as our PPP requirements, we will direct you to the SBA, which has all the up-to-date requirements as far as who is eligible. This time around, there have been updates regarding independent contractors and subcontractors. I don't have the specifics, but they are all outlined on our website. Unless Karen has any additional input on that, if you have any further information.
Yeah, I do actually. So the PPP funding has restrictions, and we don't, as Wells Fargo, don't lay those restrictions out. We're just flowing through the SBA's rules and regulations as any other bank is. 75% of our funding is going to very small organizations, small businesses. What we're doing on the other side is we're coupling with the CARES funding. So small entrepreneurs can go through their city and county and state websites to get access to CARES funding. but we're also funding CDFIs. So those are community development financial institutions. So where we can grant those institutions funding so that they can give grants to small businesses. And we just announced the Open for Business $3 million that we've gotten approved in this market. So if you have relationships with California Capital or Opening Doors, both of those just were awarded $500,000, and those dollars are specifically earmarked for grants to very small, diverse business owners. We're also working with the Black Chambers of Commerce, California Black Chamber, to make sure that they have funding and can access the state's funding to address small businesses. Now, there's other small organizations like the Alchemist EDC, who's also looking for small business support for those organizations that don't meet those requirements for the PPP dollars. There's funding out there. I think it's really difficult for you guys to find it. We totally understand. I highly encourage you to go out to the governor's website, the state site, go to the SBA, and go to your chambers, because they should have links to all of the grant opportunities for single entrepreneurial business owners. Does that help?
Yes, it does. We'll look into that. Thank you.
Great. Are there any more questions on the floor before we transition into the credit part? You're welcome to ask now. Thank you so much, Karen and John. We really appreciate it. If there's any more information you want to share or any of those links, please drop it in the chat box so that we could share with everyone. And we'll also publish this on the Facebook post, and it'll also be available on the YouTube. Thanks you so much. Having us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, for those of you, thank you so much for still being here. We're going to transition to the credit bootcamp part. Again, since we have transitioned to the virtual world, our credit bootcamp was normally 2 hours long, fun, interactive session where we just shared with tips and tricks on how to, like I said before, increase your credit score and do all kinds of things with your credit so that you can get the things that you need. So right now we're going to go through this presentation. We're not going to hold you long, but this is just going to be a snippet. We're going to put together another credit boot camp later in the coming quarters of the year, so that you'll be able to kind of experience the fullness of it. But we also have a packet that we used to give out in person. We're going to email you that packet. If you would like the packet with all the handouts, including the letter, please visit this link. I just put it in the chat box. When you get a chance, visit that link, and you'll be able to get the packet and a copy of our free ebook. Okay, so like I said, I am Lorraine. I am a licensed realtor and also a personal credit educator, author, and philanthropist. And I have my business partner, Mika. Would you like to introduce yourself? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so my name's Mika Coleman. I'm also a licensed realtor. I'm also a business credit author. You guys can find me on Amazon, Your Entrepreneur's Guide to Business Credit. And how Lorraine and I, just to give you a background about how we started this, for me personally, I've always had good credit, but unfortunately in 2008 and 2009, when the market crashed, I pretty much lost everything because I was heavily invested in real estate. And unfortunately, I didn't know where to begin because I never knew what it was to not have good credit. And so when Lorraine came on board at our same company, we both were trying to find the gap on helping particularly African-Americans or anyone that had credit issues, how to purchase homes. So we started this credit boot camp to educate individuals, not only how important credit is, but what you needed in order to purchase a home. In my book, What is the Business Credit? I did that because what happened to me was I used all my personal credit. And what I learned from my experience was that it's smarter to build a business credit than to mess up your personal credit. And as John Overton was talking about small business loans and different small business programs, what I often find in our community is that we're not set up properly to access those funds because we're not incorporated, we don't have an EIN number. So Lorraine and I got together to basically build the foundation of credit, because that's first. And so I'm going to hand it back over to Lorraine, and she's going to tell you her story, how she got started, and how we connected with this whole personal credit and business credit.
So when I was in college, that's when you come of age and they start giving you all these, brand new credit cards, let you design them, put your picture on it and everything. And I had up to 5 or 6 credit cards, but not having the information on knowing how to use credit properly. What happens at the end of 30 days? You get the bill. So I'm thinking I can just swipe and somebody in the cloud is going to pay my bill, but those bills came to me. And what happens if you can't pay your bills? They become delinquent and they get shipped off to a collection agency, right? And so that ruined my credit. But I had to figure out, like, how was I going to transition into the adult world after college in order to get the things I needed to get to survive? I needed my credit. So I did a lot of research, asked around, and I was able to fix my credit. And through this process, I have learned that you can fix your credit 100 times if you want to. Credit can be restarted at any point in your life, no matter how bad it is. And so, like Mika said, we've helped our clients be able to transition into homeowners because we're able to help them fix their credit. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Everyone has credit. Everyone has the same access to credit. Okay, so we have people that make a lot of money and have bad credit. That doesn't mean that they can't afford it, but it just means that they don't have the knowledge or the tools on how to have good credit. And so today we're going to share the importance of credit is it's the foundation to wealth. You're able to get the things you need to. And like John Overton was saying, that there's a lot of, resources out there to help people with their businesses. But you need good credit in order to get those things. It gives you access, a seat at the table, and also increases your net worth. Okay. And so with that, Mika's just going to talk about how credit affects something like your monthly house payment.
So basically what a lot of people don't know or they're not aware of is that your credit is a direct reflection of what type of interest rate you would get when you're trying to purchase a home. Even sometimes access to certain business loans or certain programs. I know they were talking, you guys were talking about the PPP and all these different COVID programs. I pretty much got every last one of them because I personally feel because I had good credit. But in this slide, I just want to talk about house payments and the cost of homes. And if you could see on the left side where it shows you have your principal at $298, your interest at $1,000, your county taxes $253, and your home insurance $75. And then you have mortgage insurance. So this slide was particularly created because there was a bank that allowed you, if you had a certain credit score, that if you had a good credit score, that they would pay for the mortgage insurance, and it was from a community redevelopment fund. And basically, I wanted you guys to get in this slide is that when you have a good credit score, or you have a credit score, I think the FHA guidelines now, don't quote me, I believe they're 640, or I think they might have went up a little bit. But what I wanted to show you is that when your credit is below the average, you end up having to pay mortgage insurance and a higher interest rate. So you could, a person that has a 500 credit score versus a person that has 700 credit score, this is the difference in the payments. If you have a 500, you're going to pay $1,839. If you have a 700, you can have a $1,626, and it's a direct reflection. Your credit is a direct reflection of what type of interest rate you'll have, as well as mortgage insurance. I know now across the board, no matter what kind of credit score you have, if you go with FHA, you will have mortgage insurance as current today. So I just wanted to break down the difference in payments. A lot of people focus on the cost of home, but what you really need to focus on is the interest rate, and your interest rate is a direct reflection of what your credit score will be.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about steps to cleaning your credit, how to leverage your credit, and how to build your credit. So I want everyone to write these websites down. In order to get your credit score, usually you have to do what is called a hard inquiry. Hard inquiries actually drop your credit score. So in order to avoid that drop, you should be able to utilize these free resources to get your credit score because number one, they are soft inquiries and they're free. So if you want to go ahead and write these, type them in your phone, your notes, whatever you got to do, write these 2 resources down on how to obtain a free credit report. And again, like I said, we do have a packet that we give out where in the packet is a copy of an actual credit report. Of course, the identity has been removed from the credit report, but we want to give you an example of how to actually read a credit report. And I'm going to share my screen with that information. Okay.
I'd like to add too, I believe I do have an account with Wells Fargo, and I think they do give you access to a free credit bureau. If you have an account with Wells Fargo, they do have that on their platform as well.
Okay, great. I'm not sure if Karen or John are still on here to confirm that, but this is the packet. And as you can see, it's examples. Now here's a credit report right here. Okay, and I'm just going to briefly go over this. And again, you can click the link in the chat box in order to get this packet. But this is a credit report. All of them do look different, but this is the one we're going to work with right now. As you can see, the company we pulled was Experian. And credit reports come with all kinds of information. They come with your name, your social, I believe the last one of your social security number, but they come with the different accounts that you have. It's like a report card, right? It follows you your whole life on any kind of accounts that you have. They give you information such as the account numbers to your accounts, balances, when the accounts were open, and your payment history. Okay, and also contact information for the companies that you have accounts with. So it's super important that you keep up with your credit report and that you're always checking it, say like a monthly check is really good practice to make sure that number one, things are accurate, and number two, like you're trending things just in case anything may happen. Okay, so it's super important. Now, credit scores can range from 300 to 850 on a normal scale. Okay, just letting my slideshow come back up. So it's really important to analyze it to make sure it's correct because all of these things, they contribute to your credit score and your credit rating. Okay, so for example, if you have, if there say was a payment on your credit report that says that you were late, well, guess what? Your credit score is going to drop because of that late payment. But what if you weren't late and it was a company error? They're not going to call you and say, hey, we made an error on your credit report. It's really important for you to keep up with these things because all of these points here, they matter. If you had someone else's social security number on your credit report, do you feel like that would affect your credit score? Yes, it would. If your name was spelled wrong, maybe they have a different, John Doe with a DOI or something like that. Like all these things matter and you want your information, your hard work, your payment history, your social security number, your type of employee on your credit report so that you can get the proper credit for that. You don't want to get someone else's maybe delinquent history onto your credit report. So it's important to keep up with that. So I'm going to talk about what is a credit bureau. A credit bureau is basically an entity or organization that actually, here is you, here is your credit card, here's the credit card company. Now, a credit card company pays the credit bureau to house your information. How many of you knew that? Go ahead and raise your hand or put something in the chat box. It's okay to talk back to me. But credit card companies or credit agencies pay the credit bureau to house your information. It is not up to the credit bureau to tell you when your information is wrong. It is up to you. It is up to you to report that information. So once you dispute something on your credit report, you dispute it with the credit bureau. It's up to the credit bureau to then verify that information with their client, which is either a collection agency or a credit agency. And if that information is incorrect, and they have 30 days to do that legally. Now, there is a clause in the law that says that if a collection agency or whatever company you're disputing, if they need more time, then they have to actually communicate that. and request an extension, but they can only request an extension of up to 15 days for research purposes. But normally they have to respond within 30 days. If they do not respond within 30 days to your dispute, then that item has to come off of your credit report. And so the credit bureau is actually just a middleman between the companies and you. And then now Mika is going to talk about how to get those delinquent or derogatory accounts removed from your credit report.
So like I told you guys before, I pretty much lost everything when the market crashed in 2008 and 2009. And I was a full-time real estate investor as well as a real estate agent. And so what happens when you can't pay your bills after 30 or 60 days? It goes to a collection. And one of the things that I'm proud to say is that not one collection company was on my credit report. My credit failed because I just couldn't pay. And so what I like to do, because I think a lot of people don't know this, is number one, collection agencies do have a statute of limitations in California. So it's 4 years that a debt collector could collect that debt. And another thing is a lot of people don't know, once the accounts are charged off, that company has an insurance to pay that account. So technically, once it's charged off, you don't necessarily have to pay that. But what what most companies do is they get paid twice. They collect the insurance money for the bad debt, and then they sell it to a collections agency company. So they get their money. And what I wanted you guys to get from this is that whether it's most of all unsecured debt has a statute of limitations. Most secured debt, they have a collateral. Like a lot of people are ask me, well, what is secured debt? Secured debt is like a car, your house, a boat, a motorcycle. Those things, they will just take the asset back. But most unsecured debt has a statute of limitations after you're charged off to collect. So a lot of people end up paying collections because they don't know that there's a law that exists for statute of limitations. So if you talk to them over the phone, they only could collect for 2 years. If you do a written agreement with them, then it's 4 years. Did I say that right? Is it a written agreement?
Yeah, that's correct.
Could you by any chance pull up the collection letter? Because I wanted to show this to people, because I think a lot of times people get these in the mail. And like I said, I got a lot of collection letters in the mail, but not one of them was reported on my credit report for this very clause that I'm going to pull up, not the letter. Can you scroll up a little bit? Okay, right here. Scroll down. Okay, as you guys can see, it's about the third paragraph. It says, unless you notify the office within 30 days after receiving this notice that you dispute the validity of the debt or any portion thereof, the office will assume the debt is valid. Now, this is state law, meaning that they have to put this on every letter. But what do we do most of the time? We know that we owe the debt, so we just stash this, the collection letter, and we avoid them. But if you write them and basically tell them that you did not make any agreement and this debt is not valid according to state law, then they will not put it on your credit report. As you can see right here, this is LVNV Funding Company. This is more than likely a credit card company that sold their account to this collection agency. So Lorraine, do you mind scrolling up a little bit? So for those of you that have, kind of just dismissed a collection letter, or you just kind of like pushed it under the rug or filed it away and you did not respond within 30 days, there's a letter that you can send to the collection agencies that basically will, first of all, stop from harassing you, and then secondly, remove it from your credit card,
Credit report.
Yes, your credit report. And you basically would send them a cease and desist letter. And if you can you scroll down so I can show them the letter? So this letter right here is what I sent to every collection agency that came after me when I pretty much didn't have any money to pay them. And I basically sent them this fair debt collection practices, which basically says that they are to cease and desist all attempts to collect the above debt. And basically, it's the Public Law 95-09 and 99-361. And what this does is it protects you from debt collection practices, meaning that they technically would have to prove that you signed an agreement with them to collect the debt. When 9 times out of 10, you never signed an agreement with the collection agency, you did it with the original debtor. Now, I can say from helping many clients across the United States, two banks have gotten really smart. Well, I should say one of them at least is Bank of America. Bank of America now has their own inside collection agency. So they're one and the same. So it's kind of hard to get around them. But the majority of these companies, they do not have a collection agency in-house. So they're selling it and assigning it to someone else, which basically there's a loophole in the law that helps you get around that. And this letter would provide that for you if you get a collection or you have an unsecured debt and they're selling it to a collection agency. All you need to do is send this letter. And we give this letter out for free for our community to help people. Cleaning your credit isn't hard. It's just you have to do the work. And Lorraine and my motto is if I can't fix your credit in 90 days, I'm giving you your money back, because it really doesn't take that long. Like Lorraine said earlier on in the presentation, they have 30 days to respond. So if they don't respond in 30 days, it's either getting removed or there's going to be a rebuttal where they're going to ask you something, or they'll come back and say it's valid, and then you would file a rebuttal. And there's over 150 laws that protects you as a consumer from collection agencies or any third-party debt going on your credit report. So this is how you can have collection agencies or even bad accounts removed, because what ends up happening is that some of you, or some people that you may know, what we have found when we were working with clients is that they would have collection counts from years ago. So the statute of limitations is only 4 years. So technically, a lot of people end up paying collections due to the lack of knowledge. So I hope today you got two things. One is that you don't have to pay collections. And then two, you can avoid them being put on your credit based on the letter that I just provided for you. So if you guys want that information, you could click that link and you will get the whole entire packet. But that was my little spiel on how you can get derogatory items removed from your credit, and also how to avoid them from even getting on your credit in the first place.
Okay.
So the next thing I want to talk about is inquiries and late payments. Now, I know we get this a lot. People are always thinking that, oh, I have all these inquiries on my credit report. How do I get them off? And so what I've learned through several years of helping other people, and even personally myself, is that, and it's also state law too, is that inquiries stay on your credit report for 2 years. And now some credit bureaus actually tell you when they're going to come off. But the difference is what a lot of people don't know is that they only affect your credit for 1 year, but they stay on your credit for 2 years. And then another thing is a lot of people have this belief that if they have, 1 or 2 inquiries, that it's going to affect your credit. And that's only a myth. It's not actually true. We are allotted 4 inquiries per year before it affects our credit. Another thing is too, is if it's within the same industry, it also doesn't, like for mortgages, for example, if you're trying to get a home loan and you don't like this product and you go somewhere else, if you do it within that 30 or 60 days and you do 3 different inquiries, but they're all mortgage, it will not affect your credit. And so I'm going to hand it over to you about, Lorraine's going to talk about student loans, because that's also a big thing in our community in regards to student loans. But I wanted to just let you know that inquiries are not as bad as you think they are. Like I said, there's this myth where people think, oh, if I get 1 or 2 inquiries, it's going to affect you. And then also too, I just want to reiterate that when you do have inquiries, they only affect your credit for 1 year. And so now I'm going to turn over to Lorraine, and she's going to talk about student loan forgiveness programs.
Okay, thank you so much. We just have a few more minutes left because I want to leave some time for questions. So I'm going to go through the next couple slides a little bit quicker. But she talked about derogatory things on your report. Well, one of the worst things that you could have on your credit report is a late payment. Late payments account for, I believe, 35% of your credit score. So it's always super important. In order to avoid a late payment, or if you've actually, suffered from one, call the company and ask them to reverse the fee. They usually have accounts that will give you a complimentary reversal. So there's money set aside to be able to reverse fees for you. Usually they do this 1 to 2 times a year, but I always push the limits. If I happen to forget to pay a bill or something has happened, I always ask, even if I'm beyond my 1 to 2 times, because you just never know. You might get a person on having a really good day and willing to punch whatever they need to punch in their computer to do this for you. Okay, so asking them to reverse a late payment fee. And if you're late on your student loans, there's all kinds of stuff. There's student loan forgiveness programs that you should be signing up for, so that if you're not ready to pay back your student loans, that you're in the correct program that will delay when the payments are due, so that you're not getting all of these negative derogatory remarks on your credit report. So call them, ask them for fee reversals, sign up for forgiveness programs. Also, if you're not able to pay any of your accounts, sign up for the insurance. For example, I believe that Capital One, I know that for sure. I'm sure other companies have it too, but I'm familiar with Capital One. They have an insurance program where you pay maybe like $2 to $3 extra in your monthly payment that goes towards paying for this insurance, that if anything were to happen to you, if you have like a disability, or if you get sick or something like that, you lose your job, the insurance will actually cover your monthly payments for a certain amount of time, so that your continuation of payments remains and that you're not getting a late payment. Okay, if you're having issues and you don't like either of those options, change your due date. Okay, pay your account maybe twice a month. Every time you get a paycheck, if you get paid bi-weekly, pay a little something on your payment, or ask them to change the due date of your payments. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next slide. Like I said, these are the ingredients to a credit score. Payment history accounts for 35%. That's a really big chunk. Make sure that you're paying your bills, you're paying them on time. 30% amount of debt, which is also known as your utilization. Length of credit history, that means how old is your account? That accounts for 15%. So if you have a lot of new accounts, okay, that's not necessarily seen as a good thing. You're looked at as a new kind of coming into this whole credit thing, and that's not necessarily, favorable in a creditor's eyes. Like I said, new credit accounts for 10%, and credit mix, the type of accounts you have, whether it's installment or revolving. Let me give you an example of each. An installment account means that I'm paying a certain amount of money up until it's paid off. For example, like if you went and bought some furniture costs $3,000, I'm making installment payments until it's paid off. Revolving means when I pay this off, I can reuse it again. Like a credit card. Once you pay your credit card to a zero balance, you can go swipe it and use it. And that's kind of like, just think of it as a revolving door. Okay, and I just wanted to give you like a visual here of what the credit score ingredients, how they're made up. And as you can see, the 2 biggest things is your payment history, making sure you're on time, and the amount of debt that you have. That also is known as debt to income ratio, okay? Now, how to boost your credit score immediately. You can do a few of these things. Getting added to a trusted trade line. Meaning, if you have a friend or trusted friend or family member that has a good standing account, it's been open for 4+ years and make their payments on time, you can ask them to add you on as an authorized user. You do not need to get an additional card. You don't have access to use that account. You are just inheriting their good payment history and the age of their account. And all those ingredients, you're inheriting them, okay? Apply for Self-Lender. Self-Lender is a program where you pay money into this account, and those payments are actually being counted as like in your payment history. They're being recognized as you paying against an account. So you're getting credit for that. And it's called Self-Lender. You can look it up on Google. You can register for a credit builder program that we have here at Credit Bootcamp. Add bills to credit report. You can go on to Experian.com, and there's certain bills that you pay every month, like your cable bill, your PG&E, your SMUD, or whatever you have, that they will actually recognize those as being a credit account. You pay them every single month. Why not get credit for that towards your credit score? Doing balance transfers and asking for increases. So if you have a credit card that, say, is really high and you are not in the promotional rate anymore, you're paying this high interest, well, if your credit is good enough, you can apply for a new credit card, or you can ask the current company, do you have any promotions happening right now, like a 0% interest rate, where you can transfer that balance to the 0% interest rate card so that you can just stick to paying the principal. Or to help your utilization, ask for an increase. If your credit score is good enough, you can always ask your creditor for an increase. Not to use that additional increase, but for it to kind of give you some more room that will help your utilization rate. Okay, I'm gonna pass that. So I wanted to quickly go over student loans, and then I'm gonna open the floor up to questions. There's different types of programs, like I said before, that will help you if you're having issues paying your student loans. Now, if any of you on this call don't have any student loans, I'm pretty sure you know someone that does. And I always said, if you don't come get this information for yourself, come get this information to take back to someone else, okay? Because we should all be helping each other. Giving information is free. It's not gonna hurt you. So if you know anybody that has student loan issues, right, take a picture of this slide, okay? And I'm also gonna share a link to one of the first, or she is the first African-American CEOs of a student loan repayment company. Okay, she's based out of Philadelphia. I've worked closely with her, and she actually has counselors that will go into your student loan accounts and look to make sure that you're in the right program, and basically tell you what you need to do in order to get the lowest payment possible based on your income, based on your situation, or whatever the case may be. So I just listed here a few options that you can look into to help with your student loans, whether it's forbearance, asking for, and these are the key words. They're not going to say it. There's been many times where I've called in and they kind of coached me to ask me, they're coaching me in what to say in order for them, like trigger words, in order for them to offer me different services that they have, because they don't offer it freely. You have to ask and know the trigger words for them to give you this information. So saying things like, do you have any forbearance programs? Can I sign up for a deferment? How about an IBR, or income-based repayment program, or revised pay as you go? Or what about a modified repayment program? These are not things that are just easily listed online or that they're sending us mail on, okay? These are things that I learned from actually going through and actually finding out there are options for me. So I paved the way, take this information and run with it. You can also consolidate your loans to get the one monthly payment. And I just listed a couple companies. Research them, okay, before you sign up. These are just some suggestions, okay? Don't take it as law. But I want to share this link for the student loan doctor. Before we get out of here, I do want to put our information up in case you want to you want some more information. We will offer some consultations, and for the NAACP, this is a discounted rate here. If you visit us here at our website, which is mycreditchange.com, here's our phone number. You can also follow us on Facebook and you can also join or subscribe to our YouTube channel. But I'm gonna go ahead and post the student loan doctor's information in the chat box. And I wanna open this up for any questions. So are there any questions that we have on the floor? You're welcome to ask. Okay. Well, I always say if there are no questions, that means I did a really good job. And Mika did a really good job. Mika, do you have anything lasting to say?
No, I don't.
Okay, I wanted to thank Wells Fargo again for joining us today. And again, if you want to reach out to us or if you want some more information, please visit our website at www.mycreditchange.com. And I just put the link to the student loan doctor in the chat box. And I'll keep it up for a while before we end this because there is another meeting after this. But I am going to go off camera. And if you have any questions, you can please ask. But I'm going to leave this slide up in the chat box open to give you time to copy and paste it or click the link. Again, we really appreciate you for coming to our credit boot camp, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Oh, hello, Lorraine.
Thank you, Lorraine.
This is John from Wells Fargo as well. I want just to confirm that there is a feature on our app where you are able to view your FICO score if you're a Wells Fargo customer and you have online banking.
Oh, awesome. I hope everyone was able to hear that. If you have a Wells Fargo account and you have their app, you're able to check your FICO score. And that's and it doesn't count as an inquiry, right, John?
No, there's no inquiry. It's a monthly update of your FICO score.
Okay, awesome. That's a really good tool. And do they pull that information? Which
Quick
credit?
question.
Yes.
Quick question, John. Does it matter if it's a business or a personal account for the verification of the credit score?
So go ahead. It's as long as you have it's going to have to be, so this is going to go through your personal online banking. It's not through business online, but through your regular consumer online banking login, you can view your FICO score if you're a account holder with Wells Fargo.
Yeah, I was going to add
Okay,
to
thank
that.
you.
I was going to add to that, Ardell, when I was referencing Wells Fargo, it's basically just personal credit because as people, most people don't know that your personal credit and your business credit are two different things. Nav.com does give you your business credit score, and the highest for your business credit score, which is called a paydex score, is actually 90. And so they're completely different. So just wanted to put that out there that when you're looking on Wells Fargo, it's mostly just for your personal credit, not for your business credit. Nav.com does provide for your business credit score. And I always tell people it's really good to have business credit because the more that you use, the higher your credit score goes when you're doing business credit, whereas in personal credit, it's the total opposite. So I always advise people if you're an entrepreneur or if you're starting out in business to actually build the right foundation. That's what my book's about. You can also find it on Amazon.com. But I always tell people that it's so important to build the proper foundation first. And I believe Wells Fargo does have a lot of resources on helping you, how to get your business started. They do have like a small business sector program. I believe, I think Manny was over that. I can't remember, but in Wells Fargo, I can't remember, but they do have some resources where they tell you how you can actually start building your business.
Yeah, Micah, we actually have credit
Thank you.
coaches. We have, teams that are ready to be helpful. So even when you're working with folks, our business bankers or our bankers would be happy to work alongside you and guide you or help you in any way. But handsonbanking.org has a ton of resources around credit, around financial literacy, budgeting, etc. So it's a good resource for you and it's free.
You said handsoncredit.org?
Hands-on banking,
Oh, hands-on banking.
handsonbanking.org, and it's listed in the information that I had sent you. So if you want to post the presentation with your materials, all of those resources, they can just click into and see what works for them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you again.
I'd just like to give a
Great
shout
job.
out. My name is Yolanda, and this is actually a testimonial to Mika. I didn't know that Mika or Lorraine were going to be doing this website today, this workshop, but I actually worked with Mika around my credit. I'm a business person. I was one of the people that she's talking about. People make good money, but their credit is kind of dumped and tanked. And I worked with Mika in 2015 and 2016 to clear my credit. And it was excellent. I was able to purchase a home, and I'm very excited. So I'm glad to see that their business is still thriving and still going on, and all the things that they speak about, they actually do. So this is not just a joke, and this is not just something that people talk about. It really is the real deal. And I have experienced other business people being helped by their services. So if you're on today and you're looking to get your credit in order, this is definitely two people that you would be in trusted hands. Thank you so much. And hi,
Oh, thank you, Yolanda. That was so nice. So nice of you. I'm so happy that you're able to come on and speak to your experience. Really appreciate that.
yeah, tell Mika I said hello.
Okay,
Hi.
thanks. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, if there is nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. And in this, again, I appreciate you all for coming. Be sure to visit the websites in the chat box, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.